I thought I knew my son. Every habit, every smile, every lie. But I was wrong. So wrong the first time I heard what he was telling people about me. My heart shattered. But then I thought, if he thinks I'm that worthless, what should I do? Tell him the truth? Or let him keep believing what he wants to believe? I chose the second option, and it took me 15 years to get here. 15 years where I let my son believe I was completely broke, that I had nothing, that I depended on him, but he didn't know that when I wrote my will, his name wasn't in it. I figured, if he's already decided on nothing, let him think that. The truth was going to come out anyway. Just a matter of time. And when that time came, I had the last laugh. I'm not going to tell you my name, because this is my story, and I want you to just hear the story, not my name. And anyway, what difference does a name make? My circumstances had already made my identity for me. Let's go back 25 years. I had one son, Michael. Just one. His mother passed away when he was only 5. Cancer came out of nowhere. One day she was there, the next day she was gone. And I was left alone, with a son, and a broken heart. I gave my entire life to him. His education, his toys, his little wishes. When he grew up, I sent him to the best college. When he got married, I paid for everything. When he wanted his own house, I gave him my entire savings, and I never complained. Never. My wife. His mother, when she was alive, she used to say, "Take good care of Michael. He's our only one." And I kept that promise in every way possible. But when he grew up, something changed. At first, it was small things. He wouldn't call me. If I called him, he'd end the conversation in 2 minutes. "Dad, I'm busy." That was his favorite line. And I'd think, he's busy, he has work. This is what I wanted for him, to be successful. Then his wife came, Sarah, and Sarah pushed him even further away. I don't know what she said, but Michael stopped talking to me completely. If I went to their house, Sarah would look at me like I was there to beg, like I was a burden in their life. One time I thought, let me surprise them. I made their favorite dessert and took it over. Sarah opened the door. She looked at the dessert, then at me. There was no joy in her eyes, just hesitation. "Dad," she said, "why didn't you tell us you were coming?" "Michael is at work." I said, "It's okay, sweetheart, I'll just leave this and go." She took the dessert, closed the door. From inside I heard, "This old man is here again. What does he want now?" I heard that, but I said nothing, because I was their father, and fathers know how to endure, but I didn't know what. Michael had started telling his friends and relatives. I found out 3 years ago, at my niece's wedding. I went there, and some relatives were looking at me like I was a beggar. No one talked to me. No one asked how I was. I thought maybe I was imagining things. Then my niece pulled me aside and said, "Uncle, I'm sorry, but Michael told everyone you're completely broke, that you have nothing, that he gives you money and you depend on him." I said nothing at that moment. I just smiled and said, "It's okay, sweetheart, no problem." But inside there was a fire burning. Michael had made me a laughingstock. He told everyone I was some ordinary man depending on my son, when the truth was I had given up my entire career for him. When he went to college, I sold my business to pay his fees. When he got married, I took an advance on my pension, but he forgot all of that. He only remembered that I had nothing now, and he used that as an excuse to stay away from me. I made a decision. If he thinks I'm broke, let him keep thinking that. And that decision was the best decision of my life. After that, I started dealing with Michael completely differently. Before, I used to call him. Not anymore. If he called, I'd answer, but there was no warmth in my voice. "How are you, Dad?" He'd ask. "I'm fine, son," I'd say. "You tell me." He'd talk about his problems. Sarah's new car, the new furniture for the house, vacation plans. Sometimes he'd say, "Dad, we're thinking you should move in with us. You're living alone." I refused. "I like my own house," I said, "and I'm used to living alone." But the truth was, I knew if I went to live with them, I'd become even more of a broke person in their eyes. They'd treat me like a servant, and I didn't want that. A year passed. Michael called me only 3 times, every time for some favor. One time he asked me, "Dad, do you have any extra money? The car installment is due." I had money, lots of it, but I said, "No, son, I have nothing. Barely getting by." He was quiet for a moment, then said, "Okay, Dad, I'll figure something else out." He never gave me money. He never asked if I needed anything. He only knew I was broke, and so I wouldn't be a burden. But the truth was, I wasn't his burden. He was mine. Another time he called. "Dad, Sarah's parents are coming. We're taking them to a restaurant. You should come too?" I said, "Son, I don't feel comfortable. I won't come." He insisted. "Dad, please come. They want to meet you." I thought, okay, let's see what happens. I went to the restaurant. They were already seated. Michael saw me and came over. He held my hand and said, "Dad, come, sit down." But when I sat down, Sarah's parents looked at me like I was a stranger. They didn't talk to me at all, only talked to Michael. Sarah's mother said to Michael, "Sweetheart, you're doing so well, taking care of your father." Michael smiled and said, "Yes, I'm taking care of him." I watched. His hand was on my shoulder. He was playing the good son in front of people. But I knew that when he went home, he'd tell his wife, "Dad came empty-handed again. Always comes with nothing." That night I went home and wrote in my diary, "Michael called me to the restaurant today, just for show, so Sarah's parents would think he takes care of me. But I know he's just putting on a performance." I made my decision final. Now I was going to do something different. 3 years had passed since I started this plan. 3 years I let Michael believe I was completely broke. He never asked what I was doing. He never asked how I was. And then that day came when I found out Michael had started talking about my property. I had a friend, Robert. He was also Michael's friend. He called me. "Listen," he said, "I heard some things from Michael. He's telling people that your property should go to him because he's your only son. He's saying your health is failing, and he's taking care of you, so you've left everything to him." I asked Robert, "Why did Michael tell you all this?" Robert said, "Brother, he's telling everyone. He even said your will is in his name, that you gave him everything because you have no one else." I hung up, and then I thought about my son one last time. Had I spoiled him that much? Had I made him that selfish? Or was he always like this, and I just didn't see it? The answer was both. I gave him everything, and he took everything as his right. He never thought that he got all this because I gave it. He thought it was his entitlement, and that's when I decided that the will that Michael was thinking about was going to be very different. I called my lawyer. "Sir," I said, "I need to make some changes to my will." The lawyer said, "What changes?" I said, "Remove my son Michael's name from the will. Give everything to my other relatives and charity." The lawyer was quiet for a moment, then said, "Sir, are you sure? He's your son." I said, "I'm sure. And one more thing. As long as I'm alive, no one should know about this will. Only you and I know. And when I die, then the will should be read in front of everyone." The lawyer said, "Sir, is this your final decision?" I said, "My final decision. And I think it's the best decision." That day I changed my will. And from that day I pushed Michael even further away. If he came to see me, I'd say, "Son, I'm tired." If he called, I'd say, "Son, I'm sleeping." If he asked for money, I'd say, "Son, I have nothing." And he started ignoring me even more, because to him, I was no longer useful. I was just a burden, an old man who couldn't bring anything to his life. And then that day came, when my health started failing. At first, I'd get dizzy. Then it was hard to breathe. Then one day I fell. No one was home. I tried to get up, but couldn't. After 2 hours, I somehow managed to get up and called Michael. "Son," I said, "I'm feeling really bad. Can you take me to the hospital?" There was hesitation in his voice. "Dad, I can't leave work right now. I'll send Sarah." Sarah came. She dropped me at the hospital. But there she said, "Dad, we have a lot of work. You stay here, I'll send Michael." She left. Michael came, but he only stayed 10 minutes. "Dad, I'll arrange a nurse for you. I have to go." I said, "Son, stay a little while. I need to talk to you." He stopped, but there was impatience in his eyes. "Dad, what is it?" I thought maybe I should tell him the truth. Maybe he'll change, but then I looked at him. There was no love in his eyes, just duty, just the need to look like a good son in front of others. I said, "Nothing, son. Go. I'm fine." He left. And that night I decided no more. I took out my phone and messaged my lawyer. "Is the will ready?" The lawyer replied, "Sir, the will is ready. It will only be read after your death." I said, "Okay." 3 months passed. My health improved a little. I told Michael I was okay. He said, "Okay, Dad, fine." He didn't come. He didn't ask how I was. Just a 2-minute phone call. And then one day I decided to give Michael one last chance. I called him to my house. "Son, come over. I need to talk to you." He came. Sarah came too. There was hesitation on their faces, like they were thinking, "What does this old man want now?" I gave them coffee. Then I said, "Michael, I want to ask you something. Ask Dad. Why did you tell everyone I was broke?" Michael's face changed. Sarah glared at me. "Dad, I never said that." I said, "Son, I know. You told everyone. You humiliated me in front of the world." He was quiet for a moment, then said, "Dad, you said yourself you have nothing." I just told people. "Why?" I asked. "Why did you think it was important to tell them?" He said, because I wanted people to know I'm taking care of you, that I'm supporting you. I said, but you never supported me. You never gave me money. You never took care of me. He went quiet. Sarah said, Dad, you said yourself you didn't need anything. I looked at both of them. And then I said, fine. I said that. And I stand by my words. I don't need anything. But I said, what you said about me, I remembered it all. And when I die, you'll all find out how broke I really was. Michael said, Dad, what are you saying? I said, nothing, son. Just that the man you thought was broke might not be as broke as you thought. They left, and I finished my last task. I called my lawyer. Sir, the final copy of the will is ready? Yes, sir, it's ready. One more thing, I said. Read the will 3 days after my death. Call all relatives. Call Michael too, and tell everyone what I did. Sir, the lawyer said, you know this will be a huge shock for them? I said, I know. That's why I'm doing it. 6 months later, I was gone. My death was peaceful. In the hospital. No one was with me. Just a nurse. I closed my eyes and went to sleep. Forever. Michael found out. He came. He cried. Maybe he really cried. Maybe it was just a show. I don't know. But what I do know happened 3 days later. The lawyer gathered everyone. Relatives, friends, everyone. Michael thought this was the will reading where he'd get everything. The lawyer said, first of all, I want to tell you that the deceased gave me this will 3 years ago, and he said it should only be read after his death. Michael said, yes, we know. Dad told me the will is in my name. The lawyer looked at him for a moment, then said, did he tell you that? Michael said, yes, he told me I'm his only son, and everything is mine. The lawyer opened the envelope, and then he started reading. The lawyer read, do not give my entire property, which is worth $3 million, to my son Michael. The hall went dead silent. Because the lawyer continued reading, my son Michael humiliated me in front of the world. He told everyone I was broke. He never took care of me. He only thought about himself. Michael's face went white. Sarah was staring at the lawyer. I am giving my entire property, the lawyer read, to my nephew David because he never asked me for anything. He always took care of me. He never called me broke. David, who was sitting at the back of the hall, had tears in his eyes. He never thought his uncle was thinking about him. The lawyer read the last line. And to my son Michael, I only want to say this. When you called me broke, you broke my respect. And the person who doesn't give respect doesn't deserve property. This is my final wish. No one in the hall was speaking. Michael stood up. His face was red. This is a lie. He shouted, I'm his son. All of this is mine. The lawyer said, I'm sorry, the will is clear, and the deceased did everything legally. If you have any objection, you can go to court. But Michael's name is not in the will. Michael looked at David. You turned my father against me. David stood up. There was pain in his voice. Brother, I did nothing. Uncle made this decision himself. I never asked him for anything. I respected him. What did you do? Michael had no answer. Sarah stood up and walked away. Michael grabbed her hand, but she pulled away. Leave me, she said. You told me your father was broke. You told me there was no point to him. And now look what happened. Michael stood there looking at everyone. No one was talking to him. No one was comforting him. He was alone, completely alone. He took out his phone. Maybe he wanted to call someone, but then he realized he had no one. He had lost his father, and now he was losing his wife. I saw a lot in my life, but the hardest thing was watching my son go through all of this. Michael called me broke. He broke my respect, but he never thought about who I really was. He never thought about what I had done for him. I gave my entire career for him. I gave my savings to him. I lived my life for him, but he only saw what I didn't have. He never saw what I did have. I had respect. I had a house. I had property. But most importantly, I had my own mind, my own decision, and when he disrespected me, I decided he didn't deserve my respect. I don't know if Michael learned anything. I don't know if he changed, but I know this. The person who doesn't respect their father can never respect anyone, and the person who doesn't give respect doesn't deserve to receive it. And yes, I wasn't broke. I was always rich. Not just with money, with respect, and my will. That was my last word. My last lesson. From Michael. And for every son who doesn't respect his father.